when you're at war, when you're in competition, or there's a battle taking place, the goal is not to figure out who has the best strategy, or who has the best weapons, or who has the best tactics. That's not how you win. The win is how do you become unassailable.
Hey, what's up, friends? Grant Baldwin here. Welcome back to the Speaker Lab podcast. Hey, super excited to have a very close dear friend of mine, Clint Pulver, who I was just apologizing to him. This is his third appearance on the show. We talk pretty regularly offline, and so it's one of those things like you talk to someone and you think, oh, well, you've been on the show a bunch. It hasn't been as much as I anticipated. Clint, I apologize, but good to have you back.
I'm honored to be back. It's good to hang out with a friend.
Hey, so today we're going to be talking about something a little bit different here. One of the ironic things whenever it comes to the speaking industry is, you and I both have a lot of friends in the industry, but most of the time we don't actually get to see each other do the speaking thing that we do. It's kind of like just ships passing in the night, and whether it's for an event or whatever. And so, but you are someone that I have seen speak. And I saw you speak, I don't know, a couple years ago when you were passing through here in Nashville. I saw you speak at the NSA National Conference a couple years ago as well. You're incredibly good at what it is that you do. And one of the things that makes it unique is it's more than just a keynote speech. And so how would you describe to someone what it is that you do?
Yeah, I'm not a keynote speaker. We create experiences. And for us in our brand and on this speaking journey as a performer, as a drummer, as a storyteller, the goal is how do you create something that is distinctly a category of one? And in my world, like there's a fee if you go to an event as a drummer. There's a certain like fee structure. Just like there would be a certain fee structure if you're a juggler or a magician or a comedian. Then there's a fee structure if you're a juggler and a speaker, or if you're a drummer and a speaker. But then we found in our brand and how we've tried to build it and market it and everything that we do on and off stage is there's another level to an experience. And that has blown the roof off the ability of what we're able to do when it comes to, again, becoming a category of one, but bringing ultimate value in a way that nobody else does. And that helps us to become what I call unassailable. I really want to mention this, Grant, because there's a book that I absolutely love. The book is called The Art of War, The War of Art.
By Stephen Pressfield.
Yes, awesome.
Yeah.
And it talks about battle and strategy and things like that. But there's a phrase in there where it talks about when you're at war, when you're in competition, or there's a battle taking place, the goal is not to figure out who has the best strategy, or who has the best weapons, or who has the best tactics. That's not how you win. The win is how do you become unassailable, meaning that they can't even have the battle with you. They can't even get to you. They can't. There is no war to be had because they can't even access or get to the point of where you're at. And so my thought process as an entrepreneur and what we've done is how do you become the unassailable speaker? How do you create a brand that is so distinctly unique that when you sit in a room with event planners and you're one of the speakers out of 10 others that they're considering for their next event, that when they watch what you do and the experience that you create, you're unassailable. Like we cannot not book this guy because of what he does on the stage. And so that's
now, again, I've seen it, so it helps to have some context there. But for someone who's like, okay, I'm just coming across Clint Pulver, how would you describe what it is that you do and how you referenced drumming, for example. So maybe walk us through what are some of the intentional choices that you make in a typical keynote presentation slot that take it beyond just a talking head on stage?
I think the foundation, first and foremost, and it's important to remember, you get booked as a keynote speaker for 4 reasons. Number 1, you're a celebrity. Number 2, expertise. Number 3, entertainment. And number 4, inspiration. So number 1, you're a celebrity. You're the Dwayne Rock Johnson. You fill seats. You are an Emmy Award winner. You've been on television. You've been on some national show, whatever. Some celebrity factor. Expertise is you've written a book, research study. You're the CEO of XYZ. Some credibility factor. And then entertainment. You swallow a sword on stage. You juggle.
Yeah.
You eat fire. You play the drums. Storytelling is a really good form of entertainment. humor is a really good form of entertainment. And then that fourth component is that level of inspiration. Like you have some inspiring story, your signature story. You climbed Mount Everest with no legs. You're the dude that ran 50 Ironmans in 50 days in 50 different states.
Yep. Yep.
So the goal is how do I create all four of that and a brand and experience that encompasses that? And so for us, I've been on America's Got Talent, played the drums with some cool celebrity type individuals. I won an Emmy Award in 2020. They'll give an Emmy Award to anybody these days, but I won an Emmy Award. So there's a little celebrity factor there. The expertise for the last 6.5 years, I traveled the world as the undercover millennial, doing intricate, crazy research, going undercover into organizations as someone who was looking for a job. And now, as of this year, we've interviewed over 11,000 employees undercover. So that research part, that expertise, and then wrote a book about it. The book's called I Love It Here, because that was the magic of all of that research.
Mm-hmm.
And then the entertainment factor is the drums and the drum solo experience, along with the drum line experience. I've been a drummer for 25 plus years. And there's a drum solo moment in the show, but then there's a moment where literally in a matter of 30 seconds, the entire room transforms into this live interactive drumline experience where everybody gets customized sticks, buckets, and we're learning by doing. It's the ultimate just engaged experience where it's full of humor, excitement, it's different. They fall apart, but then they actually, through the principles that we teach in the research, at the end, they come together and they create the most epic ending that's ever been done at any keynote experience ever. And then the last component, the fourth component, is inspiration. And I have a signature story about a teacher that changed my life with a pair of drumsticks.
Mm-hmm.
Many people know as the Mr. Jensen story.
Yep.
So that kind of encompasses those four things and the ultimate experience that we create when someone's considering bringing me in as a professional speaker.
Now, I got a lot of questions on like the logistics of it, but let's also talk for a second about when you are incorporating something that kind of differentiates you from being more than just a talking head. And like you mentioned, it could be sword swallowing, it could be drumming, it could be juggling, it could be illusions, it could be any number of things. How do you make sure it doesn't come across gimmicky or hokey? Or like, I'm curious, like one of the things you even mentioned is like, you've been drumming way longer than you've been speaking. So at some point you're like, I've been doing some gigs. Hey, I have this idea of incorporating drumming into this. And like, even just the first time you do it, what's that like? How's that coming across to event planners or decision makers? Like talk us through walking that fine line so it doesn't become cheesy.
Totally. And for me, how I would answer that is reps.
Yeah.
Putting in the work and being really methodical at after you get off stage, writing down, okay, that did not work. Or this absolutely killed. And
Yep.
next time I need to continue to do that. And you and I both, Grant, right? We started in the youth market. It's the hardest audience in the world. I call them the rapping stage. Like they'll tear you apart in that environment, and they teach you really quick what works and what doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
And so spending a lot of time and doing a lot of reps in that world really helped me to refine that experience. And then that's just continued on into the education space and now what is primarily the corporate space. And so the goal is to become reassuringly expensive to some extent, because what you're able to charge as a speaker is directly correlated to the insurance policy that you can provide that event. So what I mean by that is when events come to us and they go, okay, he's telling us like we get 6,000 sticks and there's 6,000 buckets and all of a sudden like this is supposed to work. Yeah. And through the reps, through testimonials, through the experience of video and showing people like this, like look at what this is, they find assurance in that and knowing, okay, the dude's done this thousands of times and we guarantee it will work. It works every single time. But I can only do that because of the thousands of mistakes that I made prior to create it into that insurance policy that delivers every time.
Do you remember the first gig that you used the drums?
Yeah. Yep. It was down at the Dixie Leadership Conference in St. George, Utah. I gave a talk in church, and this guy, I was a senior in high school, and this guy came up after and he's like, hey, that was like a pretty good speech, man. And like, you did a good job. I want you to come and speak at a leadership conference. And I want you to speak to other high school kids. Yeah. And I said, I said, no, thank you. I was like, I'm good. Like, I'm a high school kid. I don't want to go talk to other high school
Yeah.
kids. And he's like, I'll pay you $500. And I was like, when do you
You have
need
my
me?
attention.
Yeah, I'm available. Let's do this. So I had no idea what I was going to talk about. I had no idea what I was going to even say. It was themed around leadership. And all I had really done close to leadership in my life at that point was music and leading sections and percussion groups. And so I just took the principles that I learned in music and I packed my car full of buckets, and I was just a workshop presenter. I wasn't a keynote speaker, and I just did this little workshop called To the Beat of the Drum for $500, dude. And that lit a fire in me, and I saw how, oh my gosh, like look at how these non-drummers, non-musicians are learning and growing and engaging in an experience that really taught me that music is universal. It's something that, man, if you walk, like you have rhythm, right, left, right,
Mm-hmm.
left, and our heartbeat. Like there's just some intricate, like authentic humanity type things that people connect through, specifically through drums and rhythm. And that lit a light bulb, and I said, I wonder if this could be something more. And then that translated into other schools asking me to come and speak. And then from there, it just got refined and refined to what it is today.
And so my understanding then from what you just described is it wasn't like you were speaking and then like, hey, I've also played the drums. I wonder if I can incorporate this. You were incorporating drums from the beginning. Is that right?
Yep, 100%. Yep, drums
Gotcha.
were part of the show always from
And
the
so whenever you first started even like throwing that idea out to event planners, decision makers in the education space or in the corporate space, is it all, I mean, at this point you have enough social proof and enough, reps that just like, hey, this works. Let me show you all these testimonials, videos, yada, yada, yada. And someone's like, okay, I can kind of get it. But especially early on, like you don't have any of that. So how did some of those early conversations go of just like, wait a second, are you doing a concert or because that's not what we're paying you for? We want you to come in and do a motivational speech or whatever. Like, how did those early ones go?
Yeah, a lot of it was figuring out, okay, the superpower of the drums, especially in the youth market, was cool. It's
Yeah.
different. It's unique. And so just the simple fact that I was a drummer that had a message helped, but I quickly understood that now I'm not a drummer that speaks.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a professional speaker who happens to play the drums.
Yes.
And so that was the big switch that I learned really quickly is I'm not marketing myself as a pro drummer that just happens to talk. No.
Yeah.
He's a killer speaker on stage. The sweet stuff though that just adds a little extra is that he can shred on the drums a little bit as well. And so marketing that, pushing that as a speaker, not just a drummer, that helped give people the right idea of what we were trying to do.
How did you figure out how to best incorporate it? Because it's not like, hey, I'm just gonna sit down and do drums. Because it's also like, again, having seen you do your show, is it's not like you're just sitting at the drums the whole time. And in fact, there's an element of kind of mystery to what's back there. What's he doing? Oh, is he going to play? And then even like when you're back there, you're talking a little bit, but then you're kind of out of it. And how did you kind of figure out what that right balance is
Yeah.
between, I want this to almost be a side dish, but not the main entree?
Yeah, totally. I learned the whole format of how the experience is built is based off of magic, principles of magic. Um, the I know it sounds weird, like probably no speakers ever said this, but learning how to do a magic trick,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's a card trick, whether it's something with a prop. Uh, I did animal magic when I was a little kid. I'm allergic to
What
every.
is animal magic?
I know, right? It's crazy. It's magic with animals. Like
That
doves.
tells me
And
nothing.
I know, right? I'm the weirdest person in the world. But I was allergic to every single animal in the world except for llamas and birds.
Okay.
Isn't that weird?
That
And
is.
so I grew up and I had doves and pigeons, and I like competed with pigeons. Nobody ever knows this. I've never talked
Wow.
about this
Wow.
publicly.
This is
I
amazing.
had two llamas, Grant, and I grew up in the
As a
country.
kid, you had two llamas.
Yeah, I had two
That's not
llamas.
like a dog you keep around the house.
I know. My parents, God bless them.
No
But
kidding.
yeah, and so I had these birds, dude, and I loved magicians, guys that did just dove. Like, look it up.
Yeah.
Like
Oh yeah.
these,
No, no. I know what you're talking. Like,
they're
they, one
amazing.
dove turns into two, and they, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Okay.
yeah. And I had this guy, this neighbor, that he had done magic with animals and like dove magic and rabbits and pull the rabbit out of the hat, like all
Oh
the
yeah.
things.
Oh yeah.
And I just loved it. And someone who, as a little kid, loved animals and like combining that and like the thought of like making something appear in moments and people were like amazed and like the magic of showcasing the animals and I just loved it. And so the principles of doing that and how to create that and to never be predictable and almost sleight of hand and what's the thing under the curtain, and I had no idea that that was going to happen, and blowing people's minds like that. Those principles, that's what magic is about. It's about great storytelling, but it's about creating that ultimate wow factor at the end where people walk out of there going, I have no idea how that happened.
Yeah.
So literally everything in my show is based off of principles of magic. So the drum set is completely covered. They don't know what it is. Sometimes we wheel the drum set out. I tell the story of Mr. Jensen third person, so nobody has any idea that I'm the kid in the story. And then all of a sudden, it's a reveal. I'm the kid in the
Mm-hmm.
story. And then all of a sudden, oh my gosh, there's another reveal. There's a drum set on stage. Um, we've been doing a recent thing now where we actually will bring Mr. Jensen out on stage at the very end of the show. And
Yeah.
that has been a mind-blowing thing that we've been doing for the last year or so. Um, the drumsticks. Nobody knows about the drumsticks. The drumsticks are all hidden, either under the tables or they're in the back of the room. And it's just shock and awe. It's just never be predictable. It's keep the audience engaged, keep them guessing, and then it's just that pleasant surprise of like, wow, that was just crazy. I had no idea that that is what that would be, and I'm just pleasantly surprised, and I enjoyed the experience. That is all based off of principles of magic.
Okay, I'm going to put you on the spot. I didn't tell you I was going to ask you this, and I hadn't thought of this, but you do like a very, very clever technical sleight of hand. And if this was a bunch of audience members listening, I wouldn't put you on the spot, but because it's a bunch of speakers who like to know how the sausage is made,
Yeah.
what are you comfortable sharing with us and like walk us through what you do, how it works? Because when I saw this live, I told you this. I was just like, oh my gosh, this thing is happening and it's not supposed to happen. And then I was like, oh, that's so good. And told you backstage afterwards, I was like, okay, it even took me a second. But then once you realize that, you're like, that was really, really clever. What are you comfortable telling us there?
Yeah, I can show you guys a little bit behind the scene. First, yeah, you got to see the experience. Sometimes people are like,
Yes,
oh,
yes, 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 yes.
send me your life. I'm like, no, no,
Yep.
you got to be in the room. There is a moment where we make it look like there was a complete mess up from the audio guy. Right, as a speaker, that's always our worst nightmare. Is like
Yeah.
our mic goes out, the slides quit working, the just technical problems. And so my show is a technical show, right? We've got
Very.
fog machines and subwoofers and lights and the drums and the mics on the drums and my mic pack. And so there's a moment where I tell a story about my mom and my dad, and I reference Def Leppard, iconic band, and on accident, the sound guy plays like 3 seconds of Def Leppard over
In the middle of the talk.
yeah, in the middle of the
It
show.
feels completely out of place.
Totally. And we make it feel like that. And the guy stands up in the back and he's like, I'm so sorry. I had it's just my bad, and I act like it's okay. We're gonna be all right. Um, that
Wow,
was
that
really
was
awkward.
weird.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden, the crowd just naturally, because of how we set it up, people will be like, play the song. And I'm like,
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
we can't play the song. I don't have, and then the crowd, play the song, right? Because it's Pour Some Sugar on Me by Def
Yeah.
Leppard, like so iconic. And then I banter again with the sound guy, and I go, I got to make sure I have it in my wedge, crank it to like 100. If you know the lyrics, sing along, baby, because it's about to go down. And they crank,
Yeah.
uh, Pour Some Sugar on Me, and we create a moment. And the whole thing is rehearsed. The whole thing is um, very strategically designed.
Yeah.
But there's a philosophy that I love, and I learned this from Disney. Disney does this really well. And there's a philosophy, a principle that they live by, and it's never let them see the chords. Never
Hmm.
let them see the chords. So when you're riding on Pirates of the Caribbean, like you don't see the electrical cords like making the pirates move.
Yeah, yeah,
You don't
right,
see any of that. All you see is the magic. You see the magic. And
yeah,
so that is another principle of magic, right? That's what Disney
yep,
does. Disney creates magic. As a speaker, I create magic. That's what we do.
yep.
I don't deliver content. No, I do it in a magical, exciting, different way. And so we don't let them see the chords.
Yeah.
Even in the drumline experience, what they feel like is complete chaos and they're falling apart, it's still very much in a controlled environment where it feels like, again, I'm giving them enough authenticity to play and to work within that. But um, yeah, you never let them see the chords.
Because like when you play Pour Some Sugar, you could like, you tell the story about, your dad giving you the CD, and you could just be like, I still know that song, who wants to hear it? And like that could work, but this was just like a different way to transition from speech into drum solo
Yeah.
and make the crowd part of it, and some of it's just like the nature of the song and nature of just like, like the crowd totally gets into it. Most of the audience at most events are children of the 70s, 80s, when those songs were super, super popular. And so it feels like, oh, this is my generation, type song. But it is something that's unique and different that includes the audience. It makes the sound guy look like a hero
Totally.
out of all of this. And so one thing I'm also curious on is when you're incorporating something that makes it go from a speech and just a talking head to more of an experience, especially with something like drums, there's a lot of logistical moving pieces. Like you couldn't just. I've recently, as a total side note, started
Oh,
taking
we're
some
bringing it
drum
up.
lessons.
We're bringing it up.
If you weren't going to say it, I figure I have to, as a disclaimer here. Like Clinton has been a bad influence on me and my family for getting into drums. But nonetheless, I've recently purchased a drum kit and I've been practicing and learning. I don't want to play anywhere. None of you will ever hear it. But nonetheless, it's been fun. Clint's got a
Amazing.
25-year head start on me. But nonetheless, it's not like you can just go pick up some set from Walmart and hey man, if you just set that up on stage, I can work with that. There's a lot of like intricacies, and it's not like you can just stick this in your luggage and take it from event to event. Then once you get there, you have a lot of technical cues that have to go right, otherwise it kind of butchers the whole thing.
Yeah.
A lot of technical requirement in terms of lighting. You mentioned like fog, and the sound intricacies are way more in depth than just like, yeah, just give me a handheld mic or a lapel or a Countryman and I'm good to go. So even when you first started incorporating all of this and to the point it's at now, how do you kind of think about like the technical parts, the logistical parts? Maybe talk us through how some of that works and how you think about it.
Yeah, the early days it was really miserable. It was hard. Every drummer will attest to this, right? Like lugging drums. When I was in the youth market, I would rent a drum kit from Guitar Center. I would haul the drum set into my rental car, and then I would drive to the gig. I would haul the drum set out. I would literally, drum by drum, haul it into the high school, set it all up, do my show, tear it down, drive it back to Guitar Center, and then had to get on a plane.
Which
It,
is an ordeal
it
like
is
that. I
a
mean, that's,
huge ordeal.
I just set up this kit and it took me a long time and you know what you're doing, but it's still like, it's a lot of things that have to go together.
So there were like people see it now, or we talk about it now in mastermind groups with other speakers, and we have 6 traveling drum kits, and I don't set up the drums, and I show up and I sit down, I adjust some things, but then we do sound check, and somebody tears it down, and they're off to the next event. But it's really important to remember, like there were years and years and years of the grind, and me just living out of a rental car with drums from Guitar Center.
Yep.
So it didn't all just start out that way, but now we have a team of 7 Rockstar employees, team members that run all the logistics, because there's a lot to it, not just the show side, but books, drumsticks. Dude, we sell earplugs to the event. We do all of the swag for the event. We have the masterclass series. Like the idea is like, how do you not just kill 2 birds with 1 stone? How do you take down the whole flock? When an event books us, man, we are providing the ultimate value. We're hitting every facet of that experience.
Yeah.
You know, and people have often said like, yeah, you're gonna have to change. You're gonna have to like, you won't be able to do this forever. Like you're hot now, but 5 years from now, dude, you're gonna have to get another Keynote that's not all the drums and everything else. And I come from the performing world, and my wife specifically comes from the theater performing world. And some people are like, oh, well, you look at like the bands out there and they got to come out with a new album. They're always coming out
Mhm.
with a new album because they have to do a new tour and you got to stay relevant. And, what's the next book and what's the next. But I think a lot of what we do in the speaking industry is actually comparable to theater, like to musical theater, more than almost anything else, more than comedy, more than even a singer or a songwriter, musical theater. And I've had the thought recently, and it's a new idea that I'm kicking around. What if your keynote's Wicked? Like Wicked the
Okay.
musical
Yeah.
dude has been on Broadway for 25 years, and
Yeah.
it will probably stay on Broadway for who knows another 15 to 20 years potentially.
Yeah.
And that show hasn't changed like at all. It
Right.
is
Right.
the same darn show night after night, and it completely sells out.
Yeah.
How do you create? And that's my point is how do you create this Wicked experience? Where again, there's the T-shirts, there's the movie, there's the posters, there's the merchandise, there's so much to it because you have created a brand, you've created a story, you've created an experience, you've created a movement that is so powerful that can stand the test of time. And there's a reason why you pay X amount of dollars to go to a Taylor Swift concert
Yeah.
versus what you pay to go to an improv comedy night.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I think it's really, as a performer, as an entrepreneur, as a business marketer, to think in that realm of how do you create the Wicked experience? And for us, there are more logistics to it, but dude, that is what creates an unassailable brand.
Okay, so let's go down that trail for a second because one thing that comes to mind is yes, but I also know for a speaker, and I would assume this is similar for a performer in the theater, is like I remember a buddy, it's like some of the best advice I got one time was he said, you have to regularly find things where the challenge exceeds the skill set, where the
Totally.
challenge exceeds the skill set. Meaning the first time you or I got on stage, you're like, I don't know what I'm doing. I feel way over my head. But what happens is over time is it flips and the skill set exceeds the challenge. Like right now with drumming, I feel way over my head. The challenge exceeds the skill set. But for you, been doing it 25 years, you may get to a point where you're like, the skill set's pretty good right now. So the first time you get on stage, you're going like, this is a disaster. No chance this is going to work. But now you could get up on stage in front of thousands of people and give all of them drumsticks and just know like, this is going to crush. I just know that this is going to work. And so if you are a cast member in Wicked, the first night, opening night, you're like, this is awesome. Well, when you've done the show 1,000 times, you're just kind of like,
Oh,
I know every line, I know every part, I know every cue, and
yep.
like what, even though it's the first time the audience has seen it, and you got to be on your game for them, internally you're just like, I'm going through the motions and I'm bored. So for you,
Yep.
like as the performer,
Yeah.
what keeps it interesting and engaging for you?
Yep. For me, in the brand that we have created, the Wicked Keynote, the through line is I love it here. Okay, that's the
Yep.
title of my book. That is literally everything I do. We go in and we help create organizations that people never want to leave. So the through line never changes. That is the brand. The drums will probably never change. The drumline experience, I don't always do the drumline experience. Sometimes they choose to do it, sometimes they don't. I also still choose to speak to kids. I love it. Dude, I just 2 days ago, I was in New Mexico in the Raptors cage in a gymnasium surrounded by high school students. I still choose to do 3 or 4 of those every single year just to keep it fresh,
Yeah.
just to challenge me, just to remind me and humble me to
Oh
like,
yeah.
dude, yeah, you still got a lot of work. For me, Grant, golf or excuse me, speaking is like the game of golf. You'll never master it, but it's
Yeah.
so fun to try.
Yeah.
And there's really never been, I mean, there's keynotes that I was like, that was, dude, we crushed it. We did really, but there's still, my hand wasn't at the right, my voice inflection. I
Yeah. Yeah.
couldn't get that dude in the back of the room off his phone. Like, so
Mm-hmm.
for me, the challenge is not so much. I keep the challenge by pushing myself as a performer. It's still changing. There's still intricacies. Like you might do the same show every night, but can I hit that note a little better? Can I perform that part a little bit more uh, authentically?
Yeah.
Can I do this on the drum set better? Like I'm constantly refining the drum solo. So
Yeah.
the intricacies of the script are still the same,
Yeah.
but the challenge and the beauty and the fun of it is found in the mastering of each of those specific moments and industries. Speaking to kids, I still speak to educators, and I still speak to corporations.
Mm.
So what I go and deliver to a room full of educators is very different than what I would deliver to a room full of executives. And so that keeps it constantly fresh for me. And again, no room is alike. All
Yeah.
audiences are different. Industries are different. Like I go speak to financial planners versus a team of sales professionals. Like
Yeah.
the vibe is different. The challenge is different. And so that for me continues to keep things very fresh and fun.
How do you think about like the balance between um, content, value, education, and the entertainment part?
Yeah,
Because you can go too far to one side of
correct.
someone leaves and they're just like, yeah, the drum solo thing was pretty cool. I don't know that I got much else out of it. That's not the case with you. You're excellent at what you do,
Yeah.
top to bottom. But I could certainly see, wow, they did some cool magic tricks or they told some jokes. But I don't know that that what we hired them for was there. How do you think about that balance?
Yeah, I always that's why again I lead as a professional speaker, a
Yeah,
content expert who happens to drum. And so in the keynote experience, that's the same thing. The experience just enhances the content. I want them walking out of there saying, that was super fun. Like that was great. I've never seen anything like that, but I actually have like 12 things that are prescriptive and actionable, and it's going to move the needle forward in my business.
hmm,
So it was really fun, but it
yeah,
was it was extremely pertinent. It was actionable. And
yeah.
so for me, the balance of that is kind of a 40-60 rule. So 60% is content, relevant, and getting to the part about them. 40% of it is entertainment and excitement.
You've mentioned a couple times the drumline experience. I've seen it, but maybe kind of walk us through what that is because I'm really curious. The first time you did this just feels like a massive risk of sending everybody out of like, hey, maybe like even like what's the biggest audience you've done this with? So maybe explain it, talk us through it. How do you think about it? First time you did it, because it is a risky move, but you handle it well.
It is, and the larger the room becomes, the harder it is.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, so the largest group that I've ever done this for is 15,000 people, and that was really tough to do that many people. We divide the room up into three sections.
well, what is it? Explain what it is.
So it's the drumline experience. So in a matter of depending on the room size, anywhere from 30 seconds to 2 minutes, the room transforms into the drumline experience. We play "We Will Rock You" over the sound system. They have no idea what's happening, and then it's just the Oprah Winfrey show. You get a drumstick, you get a drumstick, you get a drumstick, and all of a sudden they get this bucket. And then I tell everybody right now, everybody needs a bucket. You need sticks, and we're playing a "We Will Rock You." So like everybody knows that rhythm, boom, boom, ba. But so there's just this innate drive, and the energy in the whole room just completely shifts. And then we fade out the music, and I have a cowbell that I orchestrate the entire group with. And it's principles of setting things up just like you would do in a magic trick. I need you
Yeah.
to understand this concept. I need you to think about this. I need you to, like, I'm taking you on a journey. Like it's again, you don't know what the journey is, but we're taking you on a journey. It's very curated. It's like a ride on Disneyland. It's like watching a movie. We're taking you on a ride. So the first step in that is I got to get you to understand that I'm the conductor. Okay, I'm
Mm-hmm.
in charge. I'm the one that's leading this, and I've got to teach you how to kind of follow along. And so we do a little follow along segment, and then I introduce the intricacies of how drummers play, how drum lines play in a marching band, how they have to listen to each other. There's a word called cleanliness. When every single drummer is hitting that drum at the exact same time, their stick heights are perfect, the balance, like it creates ultimate clarity, influence. It's beautiful. And so for the first time ever in the history of their organization, we're going to create a drum line. And then the sections of the room are strategically designed into three organic sections: the middle section of the room and two side sections of the room. So group one, group two, and group three. And then I give them a rhythm. Group one plays the rhythm, then I give group two a rhythm, then I give group three a rhythm. And I set them up in a way that they learn really quickly that if you're not completely focused, if you're not engaged, like it's not going to work. And then there's steps and processes to that. They completely fall apart. And then, many of them will blame me. And I go, well, let's give you a shot. And then they try. And it's a system where I create an environment where it's very hard to accomplish it so that they can see the innate challenge. But
Yeah.
then it's the beauty of, again, taking them on a ride. Now I'm going to teach you a few very basic but extremely effective principles that I promise you, if you apply, not just in the drum line, but in your business, in your life, depending on the audience, at school, as a teacher, this will move the needle forward in a significant way for you. And will also create the most epic ending and make this drum line work.
And so you always end with that.
Yeah. And so then we go back into content. I'm teaching content. I'm teaching the principles. And then at the end, they get the opportunity. This is the biggest risk of the show is because literally in that moment, if I've done my job, we should be okay. But if they don't follow those principles, if they don't actually implement the things that I taught, it will not work. There's too many people. It's too loud. It can become too chaotic. And so there is a chance, dude. There's a risk in the show because at the end, I let them choose. Each group chooses their rhythm. But together, they have to come together to create music. They have to create something that works, that harmonizes. And it's always a risk. And sometimes it takes some finessing or some coaching, or I have to help out on the drums. But the goal is to let them win. It's like, as a dad, you want to help your kid. It's like, oh, come on,
Yeah.
kick the ball right. But it's like you gotta let them kind of struggle. And sometimes the groups struggle. And you can see it on the faces of the audience. They're like, we are not killing this. We are not doing this right. And then all of a sudden, and we put the steps on the screen so they can remember it. But I want them to win. I want them to see holy cow, this worked. Look at where we started, but look at where we ended. And it really that cool, immersive, we did this.
I mean, just the idea of you're passing, because again, just to be clear for everyone, you're passing out 5-gallon buckets to the entire audience and drumsticks to everyone, which again, it seems like the bigger the audience, the bigger the room, the more chaotic that could be. You just need one yahoo who's going to be like, everyone else is quiet. You've armed the audience with a weapon. And so anything could happen. You got a story of a time where it just went off the rails and it just didn't work.
Yeah. Kids, dude, high schools,
Oh yeah.
students, man, you get a section up at the very top of the bleachers and they don't give a rip about what you're saying or what you're doing. And I just have lost them. And I can't it's totally happened. And I'm like, right, well, the show must go on. And so there's been many times where, and they walk out of there and I yeah, you guys did it. And everyone's like, no, we didn't.
Yeah.
We were horrible. And so, yeah, it has happened before. And some are better than others. Some really the groups really synced up and they really listened and they really engaged and applied the principles that we taught. And some just didn't, or one section wasn't as strong. But again, I think that's the cool part about that is that it, and I even will highlight that. Sometimes it's not perfect in life. Sometimes things don't go as planned, but there's power in effort. There's power in so it can tie into other
Yeah.
And you learn
you got your bailout, your exit strategy there.
Yep.
How so talk to us about from a logistics standpoint of, is that an optional add-on that's just an additional cost to do? Because even as you're describing it there, it's someone's got to pay for the buckets, someone's got to pay for the sticks, and that's just not going to magically happen. So how does that, is that an extra fee? How does that work?
Yeah, so they can bring me in as a keynote speaker, and the drum solo experience with the drum set on stage always comes with that. Now in my parts and what I'm doing in my career, that the drum set is always there. It's always a part of the show. Every once in a while, smaller groups, or they don't have the AV, we don't they don't have the ability to even bring in a drum set, and it's we're out on a beach in an island. I've had some times like that where it's we can't even get a drum set out here. Okay, then we'll figure that out. But 99.9% of the time, there's a drum kit. So that's a 60-minute keynote. If you want the drumline experience, cool. That now jumps to a 75 to 90-minute keynote, and then you have to have the drumsticks. And so we supply the drumsticks, and we also now supply the buckets. The goal too in all of this, because this can become really quickly a logistical nightmare for an event planner.
Right. Yeah.
They're like, listen, dude, I could pay Joe Schmo down the road, and he just shows up with a microphone and a slide deck.
Yep.
And now we're bringing in what, Beyonce and her tour. Like, it's just not. We're not. I don't want to do this. So my team handles all of it. We handle getting the drums in. We handle getting the drums set up. We handle all of the our drumstick logistics, all of the bucket logistics, all of the book logistics. We tear the drum set down. Like, they don't have to worry about anything. All they have to do is tell me what they want created. We create it, and we do it in the most stress-free way possible. And that's been another huge point and important aspect of this.
Is there a minimum size audience that this works for, of just doing because like the bigger the crowd is, especially when you're playing drums, the more energy there's going to be. But if my guess would be like, there's some size you're like, oh, this just feels weird at this point.
Yeah. I mean, if we're getting down to the reality of it, 3 would be the minimum.
That's it, huh?
I would need 3 people to be able to do that drumline experience.
But even you playing drums.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
you do a full set for a dozen people. A
totally.
small, like, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. Sometimes we're doing like C-suite executives where they
yeah.
a team of 7 people. Yeah, dude. And every gig's the Super Bowl. Yeah, 100%. And we do the full thing. Yep.
All right. Someone listening to this right now is going like, okay, I have some little shtick. I don't say it to minimize it, but I have something I could do that I would like to incorporate into my speech that would add some level of differentiation, that I'm more than just a talking head. Knowing what you know, what advice would you give to that speaker on how do I incorporate this thing that I can do that takes it from a speech to a performance?
That's a really hard question to answer because it's so specific on the speaker, what they do. You know, if I was talking to a magician versus someone who's just a comedian or really funny on stage, or someone who plays the guitar versus somebody who, like Ty Bennett, right, who brings in like a ninja keynote.
Oh yeah, like, full thing,
full like elaborate like gymnastics facility. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So it really depends. I think what I would say is, how do you create an experience, not just a keynote experience? I would hire someone who curates experience, like experiential design. I think a lot of times speakers, we never think about that. We think about, well, I'm going to hire a comedian to punch up my humor in my keynote, or I'm going to hire someone to design my slides, or I'm going to hire like an experience, like someone who does experiential design.
Yeah,
man, because that's the next level. Is when you reach that, when you're not just this because there's no barrier to entry in this industry, man. Yeah. Everybody and their dog's a keynote speaker. Everybody's a coach. Everybody's a workshop presenter, a consultant. But how do you become that category of one and that experience that you create where you're unassailable? Nobody else is like you. Nobody else can do what you do and do it in the way that you do that. And for me, that is the experience. So find somebody to help you to do that. Even a speaker that does something similar, or you've seen something on stage, like what moves you? Start there. And what was it about that took you on that ride? Also look outside of the industry, whether it was a comedian, a really good movie, a concert. Like concerts are real, like good concert design. Like if you think about like how they, like the band isn't even coming out and the music that's playing to build the intensity. And then all of a sudden, boom, the lights drop. And then the strobes happen and the fog. Like, that's all an experience. Yeah. Like, look at other industries and the things that really have moved you and inspired you and have made you go, that was the coolest thing I've ever seen. Yeah. And design it. Start designing your keynote. Don't write a keynote. Design it.
Well, I think that, one of the great takeaways with you is, as we've kind of described, there's a lot of logistical moving pieces that go into each gig that you do. That's so much more than just, I just need a mic and I'm good to go, which on one hand, as a speaker, like you mentioned, like all the Guitar Center runs that you had to make, I was just like, golly, this is such a pain in the butt. What am I doing? And I got to go way out of my way to find a Guitar Center, and find some type of, and then I get there and they didn't have what I needed. And, and all the times you're like, it'd be a lot simpler to just show up, have a mic, I speak, I go home, into transaction. And so all the work that goes into it, but that's the stuff that really does differentiate you from every other speaker and every other keynote that exists out there. And so kudos to you, man. We appreciate you you taking a few minutes to share all this with us and pull back the curtain on how the sausage is made. If people want to find out more about you, what you're up to, where can we find you online?
Yeah, clintpulver.com is the website. I'm on Instagram, all the socials, LinkedIn, just under Clint Pulver. So happy to
And
help anybody. Everybody deserves a phone call. So I'm happy to help anybody out there.
do you have on your website, do you have a list of your upcoming gigs?
Not on my website, but on my socials. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, all right.
Kind of the
You
tour.
post it. You post it fairly regularly. So if Clint's going to be anywhere within 5 hour radius of you, if he's in your time zone, you need to go see him. Okay, because it's incredibly good at what he does. Again, when I was there, our mutual friend, another speaker, was there, and like speakers just flock to see other speakers, especially incredibly good ones. So go see Clint. Clint, thanks for the time, man. We appreciate it.
You're welcome. Appreciate you, Grant.